Hello everyone and welcome back to Russell's Movie Reviews, the show where I review stuff that's mostly pretty good and maybe one of the best movies of all time, or a film that absolutely sucks and should remain in the depths of hell. And this is the first of three videos where it's like a live action Disney boom kind of thing I'm going through right now. So yeah, these three I honestly just put at the for this because I was really running out of ideas for to fill up season four. So I was like, you know what, screw it, just add these few in. Um, so yeah, the first one out of the the Disney live action trilogy is the live action remake of The Jungle Book from 2016. Um, now, inevitably, I'm going to be talking about I'm going to be comparing this film to the original from 1967, either 60s or 70s. Um, and just comparing my overall thoughts between the original and this one. Um, Also, I'll be doing that for the next one, which you guys will find out at the end of this review which one is that. And um, so yeah. Um, but yeah, my history with this film is just nothing really special. I just happened to see it one time and really kind of enjoyed it. Then picked up the Blu-ray and then really never watched it again until this review actually. So my thoughts on it were kind of the same throughout all of these years, ever since I saw it. Um, and so now I have gone back and obviously watched it again for the purposes of this review. So yeah, let's get on to it, I guess. So this was released on April 4th of 2016. It had a budget of 175 million. Domestically, it made over 360 million, and worldwide, it made over 960 million. So very, very successful. Um, but uh, yeah, and this was directed by, I'm probably gonna butcher this. John Favreau. I most likely did. Um, and I recognize his name from a few films, but besides that, he's a relative unknown for me. Um, and yeah. So the plot for this movie is basically the same as the original books and obviously the original Disney film, but just to catch you guys up. Raised by a family of wolves since birth, Mowgli, played in this film by Neil Sethi, um, must leave the only home he has ever known when the fearsome tiger Shere Khan, played by Idris Elba, unleashes his mighty roar. Guided by a no-nonsense panther, Bahagiriya, uh, I know I probably butchered that, played by Ben Kingsley, uh, and a free-spirited bear, Bablu, played by the fantastic Bill Murray. The young boy meets an array of jungle animals, including a slithery python, Ka, played by surprisingly Scarlett Johansson. Along the way, Mowgli learns. Oh wait, and a smooth talking ape, King Louie, played by Christopher Walken. Along the way, Mowgli learns valuable life lessons on his epic journey of self-discovery, leads to fun and adventure. Now, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this film, but I don't hate it either. Um, it's more of just like I think it's all right, but I don't see it as that great of a watch. I mean, really, honestly, to be completely honest, I'm probably never gonna go back to this film after this. After today, obviously because I had to watch it for the review. Um, I am probably really never gonna go back to this. So, um, I mean, unless I'm gonna talk about it for like a podcast or something like that. Um, so Yeah, kind of expect me to be more of my monotone kind of voice today because really there's nothing that much to talk about in my opinion. There's just general plot points about the film, and then you know the basically where the review ends. So don't be too upset that I'm going to be kind of breezing kind of through this, and this might be a little bit of a shorter review because there's really, in my opinion, not that much to talk about. Um, but anyway, let's talk about the cast. So we obviously have Neil Sethi, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name, as Mowgli. Um, he does fine with the performance he's given. We also have Kendrick Rees as the infant version of Mowgli, and he does fine. Um, we have um, Ben Kingsley as you know the no nonsense Python or Panther. Sorry, I got those two mixed up. Um, Ben Kingsley does fine with the role with the performance with the stuff he's given. I was very surprised to learn about Scarlett Johansson playing Ka in this film because she when I think of a of like a snake, I don't on like a slithery snake that's supposed to hypnotize people. I don't immediately think Scarlett Johansson. I don't even think honestly a woman. No, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but it kind of perfectly you know just encapsulates of like a smooth talking kind of male voice because that can kind of seem more believable as a hypnotizing snake or python in this case. But yeah, it's just surprising to see that Scarlett Johansson, out of all people, um, is Ka. Um, so um, not bad, and she does fine. Uh, Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson, or no, Bill Murray and Christopher Walken. I don't know why I said Scarlett Johansson again. Um, they're both film legends, really. I mean, Bill Murray especially. I mean, Ghostbusters, Stripes, Caddyshack. You know, a whole bunch of great films under his belt, and he does great with the performance with the role he's given. Christopher Walken, I was again surprised to hear him in this film. So, kind of just seemed a little off. Um, but this one kind of makes more sense compared to Scarlett Johansson as Ka, because obviously as actors age, they get most of the time a little bit more mellow. Uh, so I can honestly see Christopher Walken in a more mellow performance than how he usually was in like the 80s and like 70s, 80s, and 90s. Like compare his role as King Louis to his role in A View to a Kill as the villain. He's so over the top in that film, and yet this film he's so kind of laid back in this role. So it's not necessarily always a bad thing, but it's just kind of weird to see Christopher Walken in a non kind of energetic performance. We have Ralph Inson as Father Wolf, who takes care of Mowgli when he's a part of the pack of wolves as he's growing up. He does fine with the role he's given. We have Idris Elba as Shere Khan. Now, I have heard of this actor before, and I think I might have covered him before. I'm not exactly sure, but um, he is great as Shere Khan. I think he honestly kind of rivals the. I forgot. I don't know the actor's name, but the guy who played Shere Khan in the original Disney one, like that guy. That guy's voice in the original film is so Shere Khan that it's like you can't outdo him. But also like like you know this rendition or this interpretation of Shere Khan is not bad either. Um, really just all kind of comes down to preference. But for me personally, I slightly prefer the original version of Shirka compared to this one. Um, and that's pretty much about it. I guess to compare with the original film, Mowgli is definitely more compelling in this one than he did in the original Disney one. Because in the original Disney one, he just seemed like a bland character, whereas in this one, you actually feel more connected to him. Um, um, I think I like Ka in the original better than Scarlett Johansson. No offense, but that kind of smooth kind of man voice in the original suited Ka a lot better than Scarlett Johansson. Um, so yeah. Um, I think I like this version of the bear a lot better than the original because, I mean, yeah, the bear in the original was fine, but this film you got Bill freaking Murray. It's like there's no competition right there. We have also um, Christopher Walken. I think I prefer him compared to the original. Again, um, the um, the Panther. I think I like that one's kind of tough. I think I might like the remake version better than the original. Um, um. So yeah. So really, everything about the remake is basically better than the original. Um, the the visual look of the film is great. Um, I, it's it definitely looks more jungly. I don't even know if that's a word. The jungle looks a lot more nicer than the original, but granted, that's the original version by Disney was made in a kind of a rough time for Disney when they were slowly running out of money. So they started reusing cells from previous films. Um, and yeah, it kind of just seemed like as the years went on between it was around like mid 60s to around 1985. It was like kind of Disney's dark age. And it really ended with The Black Cauldron, which is known as one of Disney's weakest films. Um, I can see why with that, but um, I wouldn't call it necessarily the worst Disney film. I can still kind of consider it a bad film. But anyway, I'm going off track. Yeah, it kind of went the bad age for Disney kind of went from the mid 60s up until The Black Cauldron. When that was released, they realized like, okay, we really need to, get our shit together. We really need to kind of start making good films. And so about 4 years later, they made The Little Mermaid, which was a huge success. And then they made Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and then Lion King, which is I think till this day the highest grossing animated film of all time. So yeah, um, but even then, with those points in mind, the original version of the Jungle Book still is boring in my opinion. Um, I I'm gonna say this right now. I certainly like the remake more than the original, and I probably will go back to the remake a lot more. But that does not mean that I personally enjoy it myself. Um, I think it's actually, you know what? Before I get to my rating, um, I'll go over some of my favorite scenes, which is not much. Uh, uh it's so hard because the film's just kind of in my opinion, so it's kind of hard to pick out a favorite scene. But I think really just any scene with Bill Murray or Christopher Walken is great. Besides that, overall film is just mediocre at best. Um, so really, um, I don't really have much to say else about this film. I mean, um, well, yeah, there's just not really that much to talk about this film in my opinion. Um, and that's probably gonna be the same with the next two reviews. Um, I, eh, the music is fine. It was composed by John Debney, who I have heard, I have seen films with his work in before, and I think I might have covered him once or twice, before. But the score to this film is just overall, eh, in general. Um, I guess a little cool fun fact is that when you go, one of King Louis's most, uh, one of his treasures in his collection, is the genie lamp from Aladdin, which ironically about 3 or 4 years later, it would also get a live action remake. So it's like kind of hinting towards future events, huh? Um, am I ever gonna cover the Aladdin remake? Probably when I review the original. And I'm just gonna say this right now. I hate the Aladdin remake. With, I just don't like it at all. It's just very, very mediocre. No, 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 not even mediocre. It's just kind of just bad. Um, making Will Smith into a floating CGI mess is just 100 things. It's just no. But yeah. Um. Um. I'm really struggling to like mention more things about it because I really got nothing else to say about it. Um. The emotional scenes, like that this film does have. When I first watched it, they did hit me pretty hard. Um, but now I kind of just see it. It's just like, oh, that's just another thing for the plot to move forward because it has to, because it's based on a book, and they try to stay as close to it as possible. Um, and yeah, so um, because there's two scenes I can remember that were originally emotional to me when I first watched it, and now I kind of just eh. The first one is when Shere Khan, Shere Khan shows up to the wolves, and I think he actually murders um I think he actually murders the father. Um and then the mother wolf tells Mowgli to run while either Shere Khan either attacks and kills all the rest of the wolves or scares them off. And then obviously Mowgli escapes. That scene, yeah, that's the first scene where I first was like, oh, that's kind of emotional. But now, whenever I watch it, it's just like, oh, all right, well they're dead. Uh, I can't believe I just said that. Um, the second scene was when when the forest started to burn down, and I think it's Babu or Balu, Bill Murray's character, uh, goes in to try and save the animals, and then the whole forest burns down, and they're like, oh no, is he dead? And then spoilers, he's not. They find him alive. So, um, yeah. So, yeah. So, final final thoughts on the Jungle Book remake from 2016. Um, I can certainly say that this is better than the original. Where the original felt boring, this film kind of made it less boring, or made the story less boring. Where it just overall the story is just very slow to get used to, and yeah, so um I like it's a good story, but my only issue is that it just is so slow. Like this is only 106 minutes, and yet it feels like it's over 2.5 hours because there's just so much talking in this film. So, um, I'm just gonna give this film. I mean, it's okay overall, but it's just like the overall problems that it's just very very boring. So I'm gonna give this film a C. I would probably go back to this film, just not anytime soon. Probably in like 5 years. Um, but it's not an all-time classic, and I'm just surprised that it made as much money as it did because I don't find it that interesting. But I can still watch it and be like, that was a relatively good experience. So I'll give this film a C. So, that was it for the Jungle Book remake. You can click over here and go to my channel, or click down there at my screen name, and you can go. Make sure to go and hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon if you enjoyed this type of content, and to get notified when future videos are coming out. Click over here to watch the previous two videos. Watch the latest two videos. Make sure to also follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and on Twitch, because I do occasionally do some live streaming as well. And those links will all be down in the description below. Next week we will be reviewing the Jungle. No, next week we'll be reviewing the live action remake of Pete's Dragon. After that we'll be reviewing Christopher Robin, and then we'll have one more trilogy to do before episode 100. And I'll let you guys know what that is at the end of the Christopher Robin review in about 2 weeks. So yeah, anyways, stay tuned for next week where I will be discussing the Peach Dragon remake from 2017. Live long and prosper. Yeah.